Welcome to this introduction to OnShape sketches. The parts you see in front of you are what we're going to be modeling today. So specifically, we're looking at that gray part there, the lid that has an LED, a switch, and two buttons embedded in the top. As you can see, each of these has a corresponding hole or slot for the parts to go into. That's part of what we're going to be modeling. There are also 4 screw holes for the screws that hold it to the main part of the box. So let's go load up a fresh document. So I'm back in my main OnShape folder. I'm going to create a new document and give it a title, in this case, Panel with Buttons Demo Video. So I need to know what dimensions I'm working with. So I have an engineering drawing here that shows the height of the box is 3 inches and the width is 5 inches. Those are the main dimensions we're going to look at first. So I'm going to create a sketch, and OnShape is going to ask me to select a sketch plane. This is what I am drawing onto. Notice that I can highlight any of those 3 planes, top, front, and right. In this case, I'm going to choose the top plane for this sketch. I'm rotating my view so I'm face on with it, and now I'm going to create a rectangle. In this case, I'm using a center point rectangle. I'm going to snap it to that middle point there so I have symmetry to work with. And I'm just going to make a rectangle roughly the right size. I'm adding dimensions, that 3 inches by 5 inches, using the dimension tool. Using the dimension tool is just a matter of clicking on the thing you want to add a dimension for and then clicking up and off to the side. Now we're going to look at those middle 3 shapes on our engineering drawing and put those in. So I have a small circle for the LED and 2 bigger circles for the buttons. And again, the dimensions don't matter immediately. We're going to add dimensions later. Now I'm adding that box for the switch. Notice that I've put all of these in a horizontal row on that main x-axis. That's because I know these parts are all centered around that axis running through the middle horizontally. Now I'm going to add dimensions. Specifically, I'm looking at the diameter of that hole, the 2 dimensions of the box, and the radius as marked for that large circle. So we're going to start with that LED. We know that it's 0.118 inches. Now we're going to do the length and width of that box. Once again, you can refer to that diagram as we add these in. Now for the circles, we had the radius, but our dimension tool is going to do things in diameters, but OnShape can do the math for us. So we can take the radius and just multiply by 2. For this last circle, rather than put a specific dimension in there, what I'm going to do is make those 2 circles equal. This is a constraint. We'll talk more about those later, but that allows us to link those 2 circles so they always have to be the same size. Now we're going to add the spacings of these various parts. Now I happen to know that this circle is centered, so I'm going to snap that onto the center piece there. I'm going to set the distance between the centers of those 2 circles to 1.5 inches. I'm going to set the distance from the center of that circle to the edge of the box, and from the center of the LED circle to the edge of the lid. The last thing we have to do now is put in the holes for our screws on the lid. So going back to that drawing, we can see that we have a diameter along with the distance from the centers to the edges. So we add a single circle here first. And again, the particular dimensions we're adding after the fact. So I'm using the dimension tool, and for some reason I'm having trouble with it. There it goes. Set the dimensions there for the diameter. And now I'm going to set the distances to the edges. Here I actually put the wrong number in, which we will deal with later. All of these are editable. So now I've got my dimensions set up. Instead of making those other 3 circles manually, I'm just going to use a tool called Mirror, which lets me take advantage of symmetry. So the Mirror tool, when you first click it, will ask you for a line. I'm going to reflect that circle across this middle line. Now I'm going to take the tool and use it again across the other axis. This way I can create these very, very quickly and very easily. Now I can go back and modify that mistaken dimension that I'd made, and those updates will ripple on through to the other circles. Now here it's a small difference, so you won't really see it, but it is actually changing all 4 circles. So lastly, extrude. This is something that will be dealt with in a later video. I'm going to use this to make my component three-dimensional, and you can see the final product here. I hope that helped and that you found this tutorial useful.